guys, and welcome back to another educational video. Today we're going over a 1300 LP Challenger game where we have a Korean Cosmic Dryad build, which should be interesting to watch. But we are seeing Eri Keystone from Syndra. She has a Kindred, so it makes sense that she wants to play for lane. And she does pretty much outrange the Annie, so every time that Annie walks up, she's going to be looking to take advantage of the Qs. And it's not really a big prerequisite to add in autos or weave autos in. You can just play purely off Qs if you want to position more respectfully. But they do have vision on the Raptors, so they have a general idea of where Graves is. So Susie can just play as aggressively as she wants. And waiting for level 2 to get hit so that we can actually play off of the E, but going W second just because there's no way to reposition the ball with E in the way that she played it. But with Eri here, should be able to find first blood off of just straight autos, but the shield is so crazy. It's a 1-for-1. Okay, well done, well done. So, pretty close start so far. They both get a kill. In terms of itemization, pretty much identical. We're going to go Dark Seal and Control Ward versus a refillable potion and Amp Tome. So just a little bit in favor of Annie, and pretty much the reason why it goes this way is because Annie hits level 2 first. She has a little bit more stats before Syndra's able to hit level 2. She's forced to auto-attack a minion to hit level 2, and just loses a bit of DPS. But with the wave slow pushing, we are going to be seeing a gank here onto Susie. And honestly, this is to be expected just because our wave is slow pushing into the enemy team, so if we wanted to do this, what we could have done is warded first before committing to the wave. Because we do have a general idea of where Graves is, since we had that vision early level 1. But Susie leaning on the top side of lane here means that there is a lot more distance between her and Graves, which makes it a little bit easier to avoid ganks, especially against a champion that has pretty much no way to gap close effectively. But with that unfortunate QE miss, Susie is going to be forced out of wave. And this is not a cannon wave, but this is a slow push towards blue side. That's because there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 minions versus 6, which means that this will always push towards blue side. The unfortunate reality is that we are currently 20 CS down in lane here. Off of that early 1-for-1 start and then that really early gank. But playing from a deficit is an important skill set. It just really comes down to slowing down. The worst possible thing you can do while playing from a deficit in terms of XP and item disadvantage is to force plays over and over when you're weaker. And Syndra is a scaling champion, that is her identity. She's a champion that really spikes at 2 items, so if you slow the game down and you just play off of your cooldowns, you'll eventually find an opportunity to just create value for yourself. So playing around range here, very optimal, but hasn't really missed any skill shots yet. Very good control of positioning here. The tethering has been pretty much admirable this entire laning phase. Constantly moving in and out of range and just taking advantage of her access to casting while moving. But at this point, the wave is going to be slow pushing towards red side again, or at least equalizing in the middle, so it just kind of depends on what Susie wants to do. This is not a cannon wave, so it does mean that if she hard pushes this, she can go for a reset, and Annie will most likely lose anywhere between 3 to 6 CS. So I do like this idea because there is no reason at priority. We know where Graves is bot side of the map, so resetting here means we can match the Annie purchase without just sitting in lane with half resources and getting nothing done. Now, curiously, we are picking up the Null Mantle, which means that this is likely going to be either a Merc Treads game or a Banshee's Veil. This is a very respectful purchase. Annie is technically a very weak matchup into Syndra just because you have the range advantage. You can pick up the bear and toss it away. So I think they're just trying to avoid Graves and Annie just full snowballing for mid lane. But the fact that we still have flash and we're purchasing the Null Mantle is something that I personally don't like. I feel like this is definitely just an Amp Tome angle. But Rakan roam into mid lane off of reset. Nice QE to pick up some Splinter stacks. And we are currently at a whopping... I'm unable to check. Let's see. We are currently at a whopping 29 Splinters, which is not bad. Usually you can hit the Q upgrade at level 7 if you play very aggressively in lane, otherwise level 8 is usually a little bit more standard. But first to rotate here, recognizing that there's nothing to be done, and just going to head back in the mid lane and continue to pick up some CS. But Kindred is hovering in the area, so we're just waiting on the E stun. Otherwise, she'll just be able to walk away, unfortunately. But some action going to be going down here in the river, potentially, for the Scuttle Crab. There is ultimate available for Syndra, but no ult available for Kindred, so... Flashing just so to make sure that there's no engage onto the Kindred here. But that is allowing them to turn on her instead. But ultimate's available. Nice combo onto the Graves, and this is now a 2 versus 1 situation. There is stun available soon with Gwen rotating. But again, really nice combinations coming in from Syndra. Very spectacular. I swear I haven't seen her miss a single skill shot this entire game so far, but the bear is doing work over here on the backside. But with Gwen being immune, we basically just had to either go into melee range or we had to wait for it to time out. E's available in 1, so almost perfectly timed there. If she was able to push her into the ball, would have gone to stun, which would have been crazy. But a straight reset here, and Wave is currently pushing towards blue side. So this is a really, really good spot for Syndra because 1, she just got a double. 2, she's not going to lose most of this, so she's going to get a huge XP lead, and she does have an item advantage starting from this point onwards. That early Dark Steel generating a lot of value. But it looks like she stayed in base to pick up a item, I believe. I'm not sure quite what happened there. But this wave is just perfectly balanced outside of tower range. It's really, really, really bad for Annie. Mid gap, sorry, is not feeling too hot about it. But in a situation like this, it is very free to throw out stuns like this because there's no way for Annie to aggress on the Syndra when she's this close to her tower. So whenever you have the wave on your side of the map, you can really just play very, very aggressive with your stuns. But if you do the same thing on the enemy side of the map, anywhere from here to here, you risk getting all in, or you risk getting ganked every time you commit your stun, which is why it's usually better to have the wave pushing towards you when you don't need priority. So in this situation, Kindred is invading for red buff, so we do need priority, which means that we should generally push this lane so that we're able to move if necessary. But if we got vision on Graves and we know for a fact that they're just swapping sides of the map, then we can technically just keep in the middle or have it push towards us with little to no loss. But this Null Mantle is cutting mid-gap Sari's damage in half, and there's really nothing she can do about it. She opted for tier 2 Lucidity Boots, which means she has access to a little bit more uptime on her spells, but there's just no damage potential for her. But leading into an RE just to land the stun and the auto attack, oh no, actually the stopwatch is going to do work here, but Kindred, fortunately in the area, able to find the pickup there. But love the use of ult there. Leading with ultimate means that there's a lot of balls on the ground to work with for the stun. And just guaranteeing the back end of the damage with the Q. And that will be a free pickup, and it looks like she's going to stick for one more wave. Getting this wave pushed in. She does have TP so they can match if necessary, but let's go and take a look at what the next wave is. Next wave is Cannon Wave, so she's going to lose absolutely nothing for recalling here. If she does TP, it is specifically to make sure that she's able to play for a objective or defend some of these camps. This kind of depends on what she wants to do, but walking here is 100% better because there's nothing to really be contested here. Okay, so she is going to TP. This is just because there's action happening on the bot side. If she walked, she would have lost absolutely nothing, but Annie would have gotten a roam timer, and maybe that's what she was concerned about. But now that there's access to 2 balls, she can go ahead and just lead with Q and then WQE. But lots of damage coming in here. Base Susie just absolutely shredding this Annie, and now that she's got control of her lane, she can rotate down if she'd like to. It's a little bit too late, so she's just going to go and stick mid and look for plates or look for the kill potential onto Annie here. But Graves currently dead, Rakan on reset, so pretty much the only way that we get punished here is by Rakan coming into the lane. She's going to go and put a ward down. She's actually playing for the Xayah roam here. They do have full vision of this happening, so she's just going to get spotted out and return back to mid lane. This is a very, very lovely angle. I love looking for plays like this using the vision that she has here. But ultimate immediately coming out from Annie, and unfortunately, Annie just going to get popped here, but Bear and Rakan Ignar going to be picking up the return kill. But important thing here is that we are a single AP source this game. We have a Lulu, which is also magic damage, but she's not really going to be building ability power, so we are opting for the Ludens just to make sure that we have some magic penetration in our build. They do have sort of a semi-bruiser composition with 3.5 people capable of building health, but the Graves is committed to Gale Force, so we're not going to be seeing a Gore Drinker build. But the really big thing about Merc Treads is that you basically are sacrificing a huge amount of damage just for that defensive potential. And a lot of matchups where you just need to prevent yourself from dying, that's a good thing. But it also kind of hurts your ability to snowball, especially if you're just lacking that solo kill potential. But zoning Annie off of the cannon here just to make sure that she misses some CS, but unfortunately missing the E, but great tethering this entire game so far. And I think that's something that's really made this lane very, very easy. It's just base Susie, positioning incredibly well, always moving forward, always moving back when necessary, always taking advantage of the range here. And if there was ultimate, that would just be a straight up kill right there. But this is the whole point. You trade aggressively, and then when you get them low enough, you can look for kill windows. And if they don't respect that, then they die. And if they do respect it, they're forced to recall. And then you just get played, so you get wave advantage. So right now, pretty okay. Just flashing immediately off the stun, not giving her time to reposition or flash. If she tried to walk forward there, there's a world where Annie just flashes before the R comes into range. Not playing any games, but picking up the plate and immediately rotating towards bot side here. Dragon is available in 10 seconds, so if they want to gamble for it, they can, but I think Kindred's a little bit too low health. So I would prefer if she just continued to die CS to Annie mid here and look to take another plate and then reset. So right now, we do have a significant amount of money, but it looks like we are going to be doing the Dragon anyways, and we'll probably end up just reset here. And it's important to find opportunities to reset because we just got a huge lead, and if we continue to stick in lane for no reason at all, we're just not taking... We're not transitioning that gold to any meaningful stats. So it's very, very good to go back here, spend our money, pick up a Ludens, picking up another control ward, just to make sure that we're able to play as aggressively as we want. And that's kind of the thing, is that when you play Syndra into scaling champions in the jungle, like Graves, like Kayn, it makes it very easy to play aggressively because there's not much risk of getting wombo comboed in lane, the same way you would against something like a Jarvan. It's just their ganks are very weak, and it makes it very, very comfortable to play aggressively. Looks like we're going to be clearing out some vision here. Dragon is not spawning for 4 minutes, so we don't really need to fight if we don't want to. But getting collapsed on here, flash combo leading in, and unfortunately the Merc Treads will not be able to save base Susie. And this entire interaction was irrelevant because 1, Kindred was resetting, and 2, they weren't fighting over anything. There's no camps here. It's kind of just a waste of time to be playing for that opportunity. But 1 versus 1 here on the top side of lane. Lots of damage coming in from the Graves. Getting a lucky critter too. But Gwen rotating in from the side, and damage is going to be coming out. Ulting over the wall to get some distance, and very nicely executed to avoid combat here. Fortunately, a lot of skills being used on both sides here, so if they want to force the Rift Herald, they do have the ability to do so. They already have the vision existing. And they just gave up mid-prio and decided to play for bot side, so... Syndra will catch top here, and really the goal here is just to continue working towards our second item when there's downtime. And this is pretty much how Syndra works in the mid game, is that you are mostly playing around objectives. You have the ability to create really cool pick opportunities because your range is really high. But if you group for no reason at all, you're going to fall behind on stacks, you're going to fall behind on itemization, and on a scaling mage, if you have a winning side lane, you just win for free in these situations. Because even if Graves ganks here, as long as we have vision, we can basically one-tap him, because he is Gale Force with no defensive items. But we are shifting in the mid lane here. Pushing lane into a shift is essentially about getting the freedom to move and then hovering in areas where action might happen. There's no risk of losing anything because this wave will push back anyways. So just taking advantage of our priority to put some influence onto the map. But now that nothing has happened, we can just head back into top lane and catch this wave as it bounces back towards us. Nothing really lost here. Just got a free opportunity to maybe make something happen in mid lane. This is an interesting angle because it looks like she is looking to catch her out on her reposition in the mid lane, her own shift. And unfortunately there was no ball set up here, so it's very, very awkward. But the immediate flash command for mid gap, just creating it. So she just burns the sun for free just by anticipating her movement and cutting off her rotation, which is nice. But engage coming in here from Renekton immediately CC'd, sorry, the Rakan. But Kindred just absolutely annihilated here on the back end, but the ultimate being completely cancelled out by the Xayah ultimate. And really great reinitiation here with the stun, but unfortunately not going to have a follow-up. But incredible flash coming in from Brohenna to find a free opportunity on Syndra. And realistically, this is just a little bit of an overplay. You've already committed your stun, so at this point, when you're looking for a WQ like this, you are putting yourself in harm's way for no reason at all. Especially with the feathers and ultimate available for Annie. So completely avoidable, wasn't really relevant. I think realistically we should have just played for Dragon in a minute. But engage coming in from the back end, really nice flank coming in for K'Sante, nice wall ride into the back line, and K'Sante going to be doing some work here, immediate ult lead in, dodging the knockup from Rakan, and lots of damage coming through. Lulu unfortunately going to be facing some autos, the flash going out, and oh my god, nobody dies. That is absolutely crazy here. Xayah has to be punching the air right now, absolutely tragic. But Ocean Drink is spawning in 35 seconds, so realistically the best thing we could do here is just reset back into mid lane and set up vision control around this objective. When you have advantages, you do want to fight around these objectives so that you can continue to build up your gold lead. Looks like we have 1.5k gold here on the Zeri. Maybe this wave is a difference between her getting an item on this reset or not, but she is going to be late to this objective, which means that Rakan will most likely get vision first. We'll just end up seeing what happens, but Baesu is going to be playing through bot side here. There is a 24 CS lead. She is level 12 versus level 11. And this is where we start to see the Cosmic Drive coming in. The additional move speed making it a little bit easier to kite. Most of this team is kind of like melee mid-range. So Cosmic Drive means that if they do get into combat and she positions very well, they'll have a very hard time of getting into her. And she'll be able to find opportunities to pick people on the back end using her stun, along with the move speed. The only two range characters she has to worry about is the Xayah and the Annie, so the move speed gives it a little bit easier to just get in range quickly. But K'Sante creating a lot of pressure here, so this is going to be free Dragon for the blue team. And just continue to pick up Splinters. We are currently at 87 at the 19-minute mark, which I feel is pretty standard around the 90 mark, near 20 minutes. But we have vision of pretty much their entire team. We see Rakan in the jungle, we see Annie topside. We have vision of two players mid lane, so we have everyone accounted for except for Graves. Deciding to shift in the mid lane here, playing 2 lanes instead of 3 makes it a little bit easier to avoid needless combat or getting picked out. But this is going to be a free opportunity to look for a stun. If this connects, this is going to be a kill, or at least a forced ult. And great turnaround onto the Zeri. The shielding, though, is absolutely incredible, and that's gotta hurt. But Baesuzi flashing out of the situation here, taking advantage of her additional move speed from the Aether Wisp. And picking up the Honey Fruits, looking to get a nice stun over the wall here. Massive pick opportunity there. And just playing the flank here really, really well. Looking for a double stun here by placing the Q, and looks like that is just going to be a disengage into the Baron pit here. This should be free Baron because there is no smite available for red team. And if they face check it, they have to do it into the Syndra range. But Annie ult is no longer available, so there's really nothing that they have to be worried about. There's no threat that blue team has to respect here. And once again, looking for a wall angle here, using the Fog of War to create these opportunities where they just can't play around the stun. But Baron is going to be taken here. I'm just going to go ahead and catch this wave topside. 2.2k gold available for Baesuzi. Incredible amount of money, and this will be a completed Cosmic Drive. In terms of third items, honestly, she could go Shadow Flame or Rabadons. The enemy team is not building a single magic resist item because, again, she is pretty much the only source of AP. So I'm interested to see what she goes for. And she went Medjai's as her third item. The absolute... Okay, so she is very confident right now. Baesuzi believes that her range advantage is going to be unstoppable in this game here. We do see vision coming from Ignar, and Baesuzi looking for the anticipated movement here, but unfortunately not able to find the stun. Very, very close to a free pick. But with Baron like this, playing through 2 lanes makes it easier to stay close to each other and look for opportunities. Great flank QE, getting some damage in. And even though she's not committing off of it, this is creating pressure, which makes it harder for them to hold this objective, and then they can transition that damage into the tower itself. Because now that they've forced a reset, they have a numbers advantage, they have full information on where Annie is. This is effectively a 3 versus 5 right now, and they're just taking tower after tower with absolutely no threat. Now, a little curious why Zeri is taking so long to get damage into the tower when they have so much information happening bot side, but a 2 versus 3 happening here. K'Sante doing some work here in the back end, but unfortunately stun is going to miss, and turning around with an immediate ult into the Xayah, forcing her to ult at the start of the fight. And I don't think that's a bad thing, because now she has no way to reposition, but Annie coming in for the flank here. No damage. The Lulu shields are absolutely incredible, and that is going to be a free pick onto Xayah off of the reset. And that's kind of the thing with Cosmic Drive, is you have so much ability to reposition, but you also have the haste. She is currently sitting on so much haste, it's actually insane. She's got 60 haste right now, that is 37% CDR, and that is off just 2 items right now. Her E cooldown is at 10 seconds right now. And W's at a 5. Q on a 1.25, that is actually disgusting. So keep in mind that Syndra gets haste on her Q from every point of her ultimate, so just insane the amount of haste that she's got on that Q. Sir, I'm trolling. There's a recharge system. 1.25 is the recast. Alright, we are resetting back onto the map here. Medjayce has already been completed. We have 13 stacks, which means we have the move speed. The rod is being picked up. This can go into a Rabadon's, or it can go into a Shadow Flame. That just depends on what she wants to do. Shadow Flame is a little bit cheaper, so she can hit that power spike faster. But considering we are 23 minutes into the game, if she's able to find a second rod, I imagine she'll just go Rabadon's for the pure value with the Medjayce AP that she already has. But looking for a pick angle here, does have some modicum of vision to know where Annie is, and this should be a pretty much instant one-shot here at max range. But afraid to look for the ultimate. I'm a little curious about that because we do have some information on where half of their team is. Maybe a little bit too respectful, but maybe assuming that there was somebody else in the bush waiting for that play. But again, finding a free opportunity here onto Ignar, forcing the W. And it looks like we are just going to be taking a free mid inhibitor. I think it maybe would have been better to play for 1-4 through topside so that they could at least take another inhibitor at the end of this. But it looks like they're just going straight for the end here. Looking for the 3 versus 4 in the mid lane. Annie ultimate going to be finding its way, but the cleanse coming out, an instant one-shot onto Ignar from Beisuzi, removing the support from the fight, and that is going to be a huge numbers advantage for them. With no Annie ult to pressure, this is just straight up, are they going to be able to hold this tower? K'Sante finding their way in, WQ going to find a kill onto the Annie. Backline Susie just going to be playing around her cooldowns and forcing the Kindred ultimate, but now she can just play for the stun, grabbing a nice double stun here, taking out both of their backline carries, and also finding a kill on Xayah in the Fountain. That's going to be a 12-4 stat line for Syndra. Incredible tethering this game, really good positioning, a few minor mistakes, but ultimately a really solid performance, and a little bit of a chaotic performance at that. Thanks for watching, make sure to like and subscribe, and have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.